fed the pond. And the water is really green, but look at this little bitty one. The way the sun's hitting the water, you can see the longfin white clouds, even the little ones, and the bigger ones. This is my 150-gallon Rubbermaid tub that is my patio pond with the longfin white clouds in it. Maybe a few snails. Oh my, that's pretty warm. It's on the surface. Zoe, no. We are catching some longfin white clouds just to see how many, if we have enough to sell. But I really want the juveniles, and I don't think that any of these I think that these big ones are my breeding stock. And I don't want to sell them. I want to be sure I keep my breeding stock, but these smaller ones are probably juveniles. So we'll see if we can get some more. Okay, so to just kind of summarize some things that happened,
I did not get very many juvenile fish, so I went ahead and put the 4 juveniles that I had in the bucket back in the pond. And when I did that, they were actually really light colored because they had kind of adapted themselves to their surrounding, which was a white bucket. They'd been in a white bucket on my porch for several days. And so their coloring was very different than the darker ones that had been in the pond the whole time. And I had covered up the top of the pond, about half of it, with some real estate signs. I was just trying to keep the temperature on the pond down, but I think I killed off my green water. I didn't mean to, but that's the only thing I can figure. I had some signs, and they weren't even that big, and there were holes in between them that were covering the pond for one day, just yesterday. And my green water is gone, and you can see the bottom of the pond, and you can see some of these lighter colored fish that I put back in, even though they're still white clouds, but they were in a white bucket. So I was trying to figure out why I didn't have very many babies. I didn't have, this year compared to last year, I don't have very many of the hyacinth plants. They have tremendous roots on them that are like nature's spawning mop. So I'm not sure if it's that I don't have very many of those. I have the baskets with the plants up on bricks this year, and they're not quite as high up. Last year I had the baskets zip tied to the side of the pond, and they were up high enough that the adult fish couldn't really get in them most of the time. But the babies, the really small fry, could go in between in the little holes on the basket. So I'm not really sure what the problem is. Also, when I lost my green water, you could see with the underwater camera, you couldn't see through the water hardly at all. So the green water, the babies were probably a little bit protected just by the green water. You couldn't really see them unless you were real close to them. I don't know if the white clouds would eat the babies, but it wasn't a problem last year, and I don't know if the problem is they're not breeding as much this year or if something's happening to the babies. And now I've lost my green water, which will probably come back pretty quickly. I just didn't anticipate that happening. I was, especially so fast, I only had it covered for one day. Anyway, I did try zip tying that basket to the side, and it didn't work so well. So I ended up setting it up on putting an additional brick and setting one of the baskets up higher so that maybe the fry can get in the basket and then the babies can't, kind of like I had it last year, but maybe not so much with the zip ties. So that's kind of what's going on. I was trying to figure out what was going on, what was happening inside the pond and why I don't have very many babies this year. I mean, there is breeding and there definitely are some babies, but I started with about 12 to 14 fish, and I don't have a whole lot more than that. So we're going to have to figure that out. So I just tried to make a few changes. I'm not terribly concerned about the surface of the pond, like the thermometer showing that it's 88 degrees or whatever. I mean, I wish it wasn't quite so warm, and I hope that it is a little cooler further down. But I'm a little more concerned about them losing their green water because, I don't know. Hopefully it'll come back soon. That really surprised me, but I think it's because I covered the pond. But, yeah, it's still fun to watch them, and hopefully our plants will continue to do good. One of the plants on the left there will bloom and have orange flowers, and that will be really pretty later in the summer. But thanks for watching. I hope you have a good night or day, and I will see you soon.